Hey guys, welcome to our August leaders meeting. We're going to do things a little bit different tonight. We have an awesome guest speaker, Chastity Robinson. She is going to be sharing all the things with us tonight about leader focus. We are super excited to have you, Chastity. Everyone on here already knows who you are, so there's no introduction needed. And I'm just going to hand it right over to you.
Well, perfect. All right, y'all. Well, I am just so excited to come and talk to you guys. Whitney is somebody that I definitely look up to in Cincy, and she's just an amazing leader. So you guys are so fortunate to have her. Make sure you let your leaders know and let your leader know when you appreciate them, because that is one thing that I do want to say just from the very beginning is that leaders, even if you only have one person on your team, you're a leader. Leaders never hear it enough that they're doing a good job. And I don't know about you, but for me, I'm my own worst enemy, and I never feel like I'm doing enough, and I'm a perfectionist and I'm a workaholic, and I'm always like, oh my God, I should have done this different. I could do this, I could do that. So just that's the first thing that I just want to lead this call with. Make sure anybody in Cincy or even in life in general knows that you appreciate them if they are doing anything, even if it has nothing to do with Cincy, even if it's just putting a positive quote on Instagram and it helped you, let them know that. I can promise you that we never, ever, ever will hear it too much. And that's not to like make our heads blow up, but it's because a lot of times leaders and people in general, they hear so much more negative things than they ever do positive. So those little positive remarks that saying like you made my day or whatever, that really does make leaders' days, especially just with everything else going on in the world. Okay, so tonight we are going to be talking about all things leadership focus. If you guys have any questions or anything that you want me to talk about specifically, please feel free to put it in the chat and I will answer any of those questions. But I really like it when we have lots of engagement and you guys are talking back to me. So tell me like how long you've been doing Cincy, what title you are, tell me where you're coming from. What goals do you have for this fall? Because this fall is about to be lit. It's already lit, but I mean, we're just rocking and rolling. So I would love to hear that from you guys as I start to talk about things to focus on as a leader. Okay, star consultant, director, star consultant, 3 years director. Yes, I see. I will hit SSD. I love that, girl. Claim it, put it into existence. Almost a year in, star director, year and a half. Yes, y'all. Yes. Okay, so I want you guys to know that it doesn't matter how long you have been with Cincy. It doesn't matter if you joined yesterday, if you're watching this a year from now, or if you joined 3 years ago. You can make the change to be the leader that you want to be right now. You can make that change. And if you have had an experience in Cincy where your sponsor maybe wasn't there for you, or you just feel like you weren't supported, don't get bitter, get better. Don't get bitter, get better. It is not you. Everybody is an independent consultant. And if you didn't have a good experience, instead of using that as an excuse as to why you're not successful, use it as a reason to go and be the most successful consultant that you can ever be. Because they don't feed your family, you do. It doesn't matter if somebody above you is getting paid on you, like people like to talk about, and they're not getting any support. Who cares? They're not the ones that feed your family. Do we wish everybody had a good heart? Do some people need Jesus? Freaking men. However, don't use that as an excuse, because right now in 2021, anything that you want to know on how to be a successful Cincy consultant, a successful leader, a successful person in general is on the internet. So ignorance is a choice at this point. When I joined, I had nothing. There was nothing when I joined on YouTube, like 3 or 4 videos. Not saying like I had a good sponsor. My sponsor taught me the things that I needed to know. There wasn't a first things first checklist. There wasn't any of these videos on the workstation the way that they are now. There wasn't anything on YouTube. All of the people in Cincy now have created this for you guys because we want to see you rise. So know that everything that there's nothing that you can't know. You may not know it yet because you haven't learned it yet, but it's out there. Okay. So remember that. Now, when it comes to being a leader, a lot, yes, Chloe Cox is my sponsor. So a lot of times as leaders, and as you are growing in Cincy and you're getting so excited and you see yourself promoting and you see your team growing, it can get really, really, really easy to focus so hard on your team that you let your personal business die. And let me tell you from experience and I know that there are many other leaders, I see some of mine on here too, that can tell you that that will be your downfall. Because the second that you stop growing your personal business, your business is going to go stagnant, your business is going to die. And that's the number one thing that I want you guys to realize is that your focus can never go to only be on your team. I live by the 80-20 rule. 80-20 meaning 80% of my time is still focused on my personal business and 20% of my time is focused on my leaders and doing leadership activities. What that means is I'm still partying. You never stop partying. I'm still growing my customer base. You can never stop growing your customer base. I'm still sponsoring. If you stop doing those three things, the three legs of the stool that I'm sure you guys have heard about, PRV, sponsoring and coaching, if you stop doing any of those things, it's not going to be balanced and you're going to have a hard time getting PRV or you're going to have a hard time sponsoring. And there's no such thing as balance. There's no such thing as everything being perfectly balanced all the time, but you have to be very, very intentional with working that personal business. So some ways that I am very, very intentional with continuing to work my personal business, not just by showing up on social media. Social media is not the way to work your business. It is a tool. This business is built on relationships, consistency, and intention. And one way that I am very, very intentional is at the beginning of every month, I obviously set goals. I hope you guys have set goals and that you do that every single month and you tell your sponsor, you tell your team, you post them somewhere for you to see. Along with PRV and sponsoring goals, I bring that to be a little bit, sorry, y'all. I make that a little bit more specific. So for instance, this month, my goal, besides just like my PRV and sponsoring, was specifically, I wanted to have 5 more Cincy Club subscribers. That was my goal. I made that very intentional. I can just say, I want more Cincy Club, but I'm being very specific with that, saying I want 5. And then I also, on my little goal sheet that I've been slacking on filling out because I've been so sick, I have it to where I'm going to write down those new team members and those new Cincy Club subscribers. And then I also, my other goal was 10 new customers. 10 new customers. And I want to be specific with that and write them down. Because if you are not continuously bringing in new customers, you can't get frustrated when you're not hitting your PRV goals. So that is how I set that goal. And when I set that, instead of just saying find new customers, I can gauge myself all month knowing where I'm at. So when I get a new customer, somebody that's never ordered from me before, I can go write their name down. And I have gotten some this month. I've just been on the struggle bus, so I'm about to go fill all that out. But then I can really measure how I'm working. Do I need to beat myself up if I don't reach those goals? No. But I know that next month I need to adjust and I need to figure out what I did that worked, what I did that didn't work, what life obstacle was going on, because life happens, what was going on to make me not reach that. Now, the reason why I say 5 and 10 is because anytime that I am, a lot of times, Cincy Club subscribers are customers that I already have, right? And so they subscribe to Club. And when I'm pulling away from that, in my mind, for the most part, my Club subscribers aren't huge partiers, except for when the catalog switches, because they want to do parties to get like the air purifier or warmers, etc. But I want to double. If I get 5 new Cincy Club subscribers, then that means I'm technically kind of losing 5 customers in a sense. And so I want to double that. And that's just why I made it that number. If that's too large for you, set a goal that feels more attainable. It doesn't have to be 5 and 10. Do what works for you. Okay. But remembering that you have to continue to work on your personal business first, always. Something else that I do as a leader, someone asked on here about time blocking. I wouldn't say that I do time blocking specifically each day, just because I haven't been able to get back into that routine yet. My kids just started back at school this past Wednesday, so that is something that I'm going to be working on. But when I say time block, in a sense, so the first week of the month, I'm not doing coaching calls. I'm not doing all that stuff for my team. I may, if I get to it, do team mail and cover photos. But if I don't get to it during the first week of the month, my team knows that, because I can't be worried about doing a cover photo and doing recognition. And all those things are so important as a leader. But if I don't know how my month is going to go and I'm not working on my personal business because I'm taking care of everybody else, nothing else is going to be taken care of, because you have to take care of you first. The same thing with filling your cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't run a successful business if you don't know where your 500 PRV is coming from. And for me, my goal is to have 500 by the 5th, 2,000 by the 15th, and at least 4,000 by the end of the month. I set those very specific goals because I know that they challenge me. And I know that if I don't set that goal, it's easy to get stagnant and it's easy to chill in your comfort zone. We've all been there. We've all done that. But if I know that if I haven't gotten 500 by the 5th, that I didn't really technically do my job mid-month in the last week of the month prior, because I should be front loading. We always have end of the month things that are coming out on the 1st and all of those different things. That's just what I do for myself. Now, I want you guys also to realize that as a leader, it is so easy to compare yourself and to get caught up in looking at what everybody else is doing. And the best thing that I can tell you to do is to put your blinders on, put your head down, and get to work on what your goals are. The only person that you should try to be better than is yourself. Only you. Nobody else is on this journey. Your journey is different. God has you in this place for a reason, and you are going to promote when it's time for you to promote, when he sees it fit, when you're doing the things that you need to do to promote, but you're not going to do that by worrying about what everybody else is doing. And that's something that I see a lot of leaders do as well. So remember to focus on you. One other thing I want to say about when I set my goals for the month, what I look at is I look at my, so like this is August. So I looked in August of 2020 at what my performance was. I looked at my bar report. I looked at where I was there. And then I also looked at my previous month. And between looking at my previous month and August from the year before, that is what I set my goals by, because I want to beat me, not anybody else, not what anybody else is saying. I want to beat me. And so that's what I can measure myself up to. Okay. All right. So leader focus. Another tip for leaders is that you need some type of system. And I know Whitney's talked about this. I'm sure you guys have heard this blue in the face till you're blue in the face. You need a system for how you are going to train all of your new team members, and make sure that you have a chain of command in place, and that your team understands that your team understands that someone 5 down from you should not be reaching up to your SSD. And that's not being crazy. That's being smart, because what you do for 1, you want to be able to do for 100, want to be able to do for 1,000. And I know that as you are just beginning your business and you only have maybe 5 people on your team, it's easy to answer all of their questions. But that's not replicatable. And anything that you do needs to be replicatable, meaning making your team want your job, meaning making it to where you can do the exact same thing for 1 that you can do for 10, 100, and 1,000. Because that's where leaders get burned out. That's where leaders want to quit, because people are going to pull you. People are never going to stop pulling you, because by nature, people are selfish people, and they're only thinking about them. They're not thinking about the 25 other people that are messaging you. They're only thinking about them. So make sure that you know that your new team members know what the chain of command is, and that you have some type of system for training your new team members. Okay, that is something. Training your new team members to be successful is the number one thing that you can do as a leader, but you have to set them up for success. You want to create leaders, not leeches, meaning teach them where to find the information, teach them what to do, but don't always just give them the answer. Teach them how to fish. That's something I learned from Maggie Hensley a long time ago. Show them or have them find the information, because they are 10 times more likely to remember it if they have to go and find it. And guys, you're not a 24-hour Walgreens. You don't have to be available all the time. Just because someone joins your team doesn't mean you have to answer them at midnight. I don't answer them at midnight. Just remember that you have to set the boundaries from the beginning. And me, I'm a natural people pleaser, so that's really hard for me. And some people may get upset about it, but at the end of the day, you have to decide what you're going to put up with. Teach people how to treat you. And if your business hours stop at 8 o'clock, don't answer anybody after 9. It doesn't matter if you're up and on your phone, because anytime that you do respond after your business hours, or after you say whatever you say about you're not going to respond right then, even if you do respond, you're giving them, any type of answer is giving them positive reinforcement. Even if you're saying, I will respond during business hours. No, don't even respond. Respond during your business hours. And the first thing should be reminding them what your business hours are. And that's not you being a bitch, unless you're just being one. I mean, sometimes people are. However, there's a way to say things nicely and appropriately without being ugly to people. Yes, so Molly said that she wants to be there for everyone and that she wears herself down too quick. Exactly. It's so easy, and that's where we get burned out, is from giving too much to everybody else and not doing what we need to do. So that is exactly why during the first week of the month, I'm not doing it. I used to, I'm not doing it anymore. And even when people text me on the first and second day of the month, a lot of times I don't even respond until maybe the third or fourth day, because everybody's hyped on the first and second of the month. I've got my own customers and my own stuff to deal with. And that's not selfish. That's being a business owner, because you are your own business owner. So Mindy said, what about when people overstep your chain of command and start reaching out to your downline? Meanwhile, the person is nowhere in your upline. I'm not sure. Maybe you could explain that a little bit more. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Leader focus. Number, I guess, 3, track annual sales and annual mentor. Even if you do not feel like you can earn it, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, didn't think I could earn any of them. But if you don't track them, you won't earn them. And I mean it. Chastity didn't track them her first year. You know what happened? She was 1,500 PRV away from annual sales. She was 1 person away from annual mentor and had 8 people that could have certified, many within less than $100. But Chastity didn't track it. And Chastity missed out not only on that money, but those are the most prestigious awards that you can get in Scentsy. And if you're earning annual sales and annual mentor, your business is going to explode. You're going to promote. You're going to get everything that you want by earning those awards, because by earning those awards, you're helping other people reach their goals. So make sure that you are tracking annual sales and annual mentor. If you haven't started tracking it, that's okay. Start today. Start today. Figure out where you're at. And if you have to play catch up in PRV, do it. Put the hustle on. It's time. It is the fall. Now is the time to do that. Okay. You need to focus on that. If you focus on that as a leader and you teach your team to do the same, everything in this business is going to come full circle for you. Even if you don't meet it. Some people are like, well, I didn't meet it. I didn't earn it last year, so I don't want to track it. It's okay. There has been times that many of us have not earned it even after we tracked it. But you know what successful people do? They reflect on their business. They figure out what they did. They figured out what they didn't do. They figured out what they can do different, and they don't live there. You can't live there. You can't beat yourself up forever. And at the end of the day, only you can challenge yourself to do the things that you need to do to earn those awards. And your business will thank you, even if you miss it. Even if you miss it, your business will thank you. Leader focus. This is probably the one rule that I think Jennifer Anderson, I listened to one of her trainings when I first joined, and it's called the 2x2x2 rule. 2,000 PRV, 2 new teamies for 2 years, and teach your team to do the same, and you can build replacement income if that's what you want. 2,000 PRV, 2 new teamies for 2 years, and teach your team to do the same. Obviously, everyone that joins your team isn't going to want to do that. Some months you may not have 2 people. Some months you may have 5, so you're playing catch up. But if you can try and stay consistent for 2 years, your business will continue to grow. Okay? As the leader, you set the pace. Your team is never going to do anything that you aren't doing. So if you aren't sponsoring, unless you've just sponsored a Whitney or a Katie Lassiter or a Ray Ray or a Chloe or an Amber, they're not going to do it. They're not. And honestly, you shouldn't be asking your team to do anything that you're not willing to do. If you're not willing to go live, if you're not willing to sponsor, if you're not willing to coach, if you're not willing to show up when you don't want to, stop asking your team to do it, because they're not going to, and that's not fair. Never ask your team to do something that you're not willing to do. Leader focus. I guess this is like number 5. I'm not even like counting at this point. Stop doing things that don't matter. So if you're busy, and everybody's busy, but if you don't have a lot of time to work your business, stop making samples. Just stop. Just stop. Stop making samples. Jesus Christ, stop making samples and go do something that's going to make you money. Like, stop. Go sponsor somebody. Go have a party. Like, please stop making samples. Stop doing it and do only the things that matter. If you don't have parties booked, go have some parties. Go book some parties. If you haven't sponsored anybody in 3 months, then I guess that you don't need to be listening to Nicki Minaj on the way to work, and you need to be listening to a training on how to sponsor some people. I guess you need to get off of Instagram and start actually building relationships. I guess you need to stop posting on your story about the join opportunity and actually go ask somebody, because they're not going to magically knock on your door and just join your team. Very few people will. There will be some. There will be some. However, the number one reason that most people don't join is because nobody asked them. And I'm going to tell you right now, Whitney and I are going to ask them. And you can't get mad when they join our team because you never asked them. Let me also just say that it takes about 7 to 8 times of talking to someone about joining, about buying, about following up, about doing all the things before they decide to join. So stop asking somebody one time and thinking that that means no forever. A lot of you guys on this call have probably watched somebody and were asked multiple times before you finally decided to bite the bullet. Don't forget that. Don't forget where you came from, and stop getting frustrated when nobody is wanting to join your team, especially if you're saying join my team. It should never be about you. It should always be about them and how it can bless them. So if your dream team list isn't written down, it needs to be. And right next to all of those names, you need to write down why this would bless them. Do they need a circle? Do they need friends? Do they need money? Do they just really like Fancy? Do they want to travel? Not everybody joins for money. Remember that. Don't make it about, and also don't make it about just changing your life. Guys, $50 changed my life. $50 when I joined this business was life-changing money to me. It doesn't need to be stay-at-home money. It can be $50. It can be $100 for them to go get their toes done and their husband not complain. You don't get to decide what's life-changing for somebody else. So I don't even remember why I got up on that tangent, but stop doing things that don't matter. Stop recreating the wheel. Stop recreating flyers. Even if you don't like the way that it looks, if you don't have the things in place that need to be in place, I don't give a damn. Print it out, put your name on it, and be done with it, because your people do not care. Your people do not care if you have a haunted house shaped scary good sample. They don't give a shit. I'm sorry, but they do not care. All they're doing is smelling it. Half the time, if you're mailing it in this type of weather, it's going to be melted and look like a big old blob anyway. They don't care. They don't need the prettiest labels. They just need a way to contact you. You don't have to go and do everything that other people do. And a lot of times, guys, and I wish someone had told me this a long time ago, what you're seeing, if you follow people that have been in Cincy for 4, 5, 6 years, you're seeing 4, 5, and 6 years worth of growth. None of our stuff looked the way that it does now. We grew into that. We found people that shared things. My stuff looked like trash compared to now, but that's my opinion. My customers don't care. My customers are still getting the same samples from me. They still have my phone number and my name on it. They still have my website. So stop overthinking it and thinking that you need to be perfect, because done is better than perfect. Done is going to get your business where it needs to be at, not perfect. Because if you're sitting and trying to be perfect and not doing anything because you don't have enough time to make that sample label, but you can go to the samples group and print out a label that's already made for you, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Done is better than perfect. When you have extra time on your hands, you can do things like make extra things and make your things look the way that it looks. The reason why we can do that is because we've been building and because we have stuff saved from years ago that we literally will just go in and change some information on it. So stop doing non-income producing activities. And remember the 3 legs of success: sales, sponsoring, and coaching. You must do all 3. Everything is going to lead back to that. Okay. Leader focus is a system. You need a system for all 3 legs of your business. You cannot go and print my systems, Whitney systems, Christina Stainbrook systems, Liza systems. You cannot just go print someone's system and make it work for you. You can't. Can you try it? Yes. You do have to try things and see what works for you and see what doesn't work. And remember that just because something was working for you before, evaluate your business. If it's not working anymore, stop doing it and change it. Like, that is the definition of insanity. Stop doing things that aren't working. Things that worked for me when I was teaching full-time in a classroom doesn't work for me anymore now that I'm at home, because my day is different. Everything's different. I've had to restructure the way that I work, and that's okay. And exactly what Whitney says, you have to take the time to make it your own and make it something that you actually enjoy doing. If somebody makes me go and do things that I don't want to do, number one, when someone tells me to do something, I'm just kind of that girl that does the exact opposite, because I don't like to be told what to do. My husband has learned that the hard way. You might want to play the opposite game. Otherwise, I'm going to go do exactly what you told me not to do, laugh about it, take pictures. Like, that's just me. So I don't like being told how I have to run my business. A lot of you guys probably are the same way. You may want a guide, you may want a point to start from, but nobody gets to work the way that you work. And if it doesn't bring you joy, stop doing it. If it doesn't bring you joy, stop doing it. I don't care what anybody else in Cincy's doing or what they're saying. I don't care. If it doesn't bring you joy, stop doing it. Do it your way, or you're not going to want to work your business because it's not fun for you. Cincy should be your happy place. Are there times that you're stressed out? Yeah. Are there times that you have a lot more things to do than you have time? Yes. But it should be, I cannot wait to get up and come work most days when my mouth isn't killing me. I didn't do that for teaching. I love teaching, but I lost the joy in it because it wasn't about the kids anymore. So make Cincy your happy place. And remember that just because something doesn't bring you joy doesn't mean that it won't bring your team joy. I'm not a crafter. I'm going to pay somebody to paint a table because I'm not going to paint. I hate it. I'm not going to craft. It's not me. But I have lots of people on my team who do like to craft and who do love those things. And that brings them more joy. Let them do it if that's what they want to do. Do you still need to give them the advice about things that are going to make them money and things that aren't? Yeah, but you can't control them. You can't control them. Okay, so that is a really good question. So Katrina said, suggestions for when a leader uses the doesn't bring me joy excuse for training their team or recognizing their team. I'm going to tell you this right now. You know what they need to do? They need to take a non-leadership role. They need to take a non-leadership role, and they need to stop sponsoring, because they don't need to be getting paid off of people if they're not willing to train them. And I'm going to say this again, they need to take a non-leadership role. And if they're not doing what they need to do, I'm just going to say it, turn them into Cincy. And I mean, I'm not saying that to be ugly. You need to have that conversation with them first. Obviously, don't go be sneaky and just try and turn people in. But if it doesn't bring them joy, then they don't need to be a leader, and that's fine. You don't have to be a leader. Nobody's going to be mad at you for taking a non-leadership role. You want to know when people are going to get mad at you? When you're not taking care of your team, when you're not doing what's right, when your team is saying, I'm trying to learn and she won't help me, or she sponsored me and ghosted me. Being a leader is one of the most important things to me, because you have the ability to change somebody's life. And I get emotional anytime I think about it, because you have that ability. You have that ability to change someone's life. Not even just in sense, you have the ability to save someone's life. And if they don't want to be a leader, they don't have to be. It's okay for people to go through things. People go through things. That's different. It's okay to take a step back and say, and communicate with your upline and say, I'm having a really hard time. I've been sick for a month. Can you guys look out after my people? That's different. But I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I had a leader on my team who said that she wasn't going to do any of those things. She was a director. We don't play that. Chastity doesn't play that. You take care of your people, or we're going to do what needs to be done. And so if that's not what's bringing them joy, they don't need to be a leader. They just need to take a non-leadership role. And in saying that, yes, that is such a good point. Mindy said, think if your child said that about the teacher. I feel like they don't want to help me. You would think that teacher should choose a different profession. Amen. And to me, I've been in that situation, me being a teacher. I've had other kids in other classrooms come to me and say, my teacher doesn't want to help me, or I feel like she doesn't like me, or she just doesn't answer my question, or she just gets frustrated. You know what that tells me? Number one, maybe they need to choose a different profession. Number two, they don't have their heart in the right place. They're not caring about that person or that student the way that they should, and they're not doing it for the right reason. So, and let me also say that when it comes to not bringing you joy and training your team, you don't have to train your team to death. You're not a slave to your team. You're not a slave to recognition. But I think it's important as a leader for you to decide, how are you going to be consistent in training your team? Are you going to have your own team meetings? You don't need to wait for your director to do that. You can do that the second you have your own team, your own person or whatever. Are you going to create accountability groups? Are you going to go live every Tuesday? Are you going to do a team meeting and a leaders meeting every month? Think about how you can do it consistently at the same time as not being a slave. Like I said at the beginning, you want to create leaders, not leeches. So just remember that. Yes, so exactly what Whitney said. It doesn't have to be drastic, just consistent. There are teams in Cincy that do meetings every single Thursday night. I can't commit to that. I just can't. And that's okay. That's okay. If somebody wants to train themselves every Thursday night, they can go on YouTube and watch a different training. We don't get to control that. And I listen to trainings and podcasts when I get ready in the mornings and everything else. It's not like this is the only time that I listen to it. And that's one thing that you can really see with your team is if somebody's hungry and they want more training, give it to them. But that doesn't mean you have to give it to them. There are so many resources out there that you can pull from that they can listen to. And let's be honest, hearing something from me, even if I said the exact same words that Whitney did, it may hit you different. Your situation may be different. You may have people have different relationships with different people. So remember that you can hear something 16 different times from your leader, but somebody else says it the 17th time and it resonates with you. That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes I go back and watch trainings that I was a part of, and I don't even remember saying what I said. And I'm like, damn, that was good. I don't remember saying that. And that's okay, y'all. Okay. So like I said about systems, you've got to figure out something that works for you, not what works for everybody else, and make sure that you are like ready to adjust that. I've already talked about tracking at the beginning when it comes to annual sales and annual mentor. That also goes for tracking your monthly goals, tracking your numbers. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the leader that tracks her numbers every single day. That's just not me. But I do track my numbers on the 1st, the 5th, the 10th, the 15th, and then at the end of the month. And the only way that I got in the habit of doing that is I now set an alarm on my phone at 9 o'clock at night, and it tells me to go track my numbers. I'm usually on my phone anyway. I just go to my workstation and I write it down, because if you're not consistent, it doesn't matter. And that was the only way for me to stay consistent, because I'd be like, shoot, it's the 23rd. I was supposed to track my numbers on the 15th, even though I did everything else on the 15th I was supposed to do. Until it becomes a habit, you have to put those things in place. That may mean putting a reminder in your phone. That's okay. Okay. Leader focus, control your attention, control your life. Control your attention, control your life. And then that's when you can control your habits. Positive habits are going to build your business. Negative habits are going to kill it. The only way to create positive habits is to decide what those things need to be. You have to decide what those habits are going to be. And those are going to change as you build habits. If you haven't read, so Many Habits is a book that I know that you guys have probably talked about before, but there's another one that's what I made all of my systems about. I'm going to look on my phone because I listened to it while I was running, and it was so freaking good. And it was probably like 2 years ago that I listened to it, and it changed everything about my business. And that's what made me, I guess it probably was 3 years ago now. That's what made me go and create all of the systems that I created however long ago, because I could never find anything that would help me track my habits the way that I needed to. Atomic Habits by James Clear. That was what it was. And he was also, yes, thank y'all. I'm so glad that y'all remember that. And that the book can be a little dry at times. I'm not going to lie to you, because it's filled with like a lot of scientific type stuff. But when he's actually like telling his stories, it hit home. And if you find yourself, and the summertime is a really easy time for people to like get lax and like kind of lay off of their habits, because they're not so much like in the work mode because kids are out of school and all that. Go back and reread it. Go back and listen to that. Go back and find a podcast that's going to listen to you, help you get your habits back on track. It's okay to fall off. It's just not okay to stay there forever. And when you're reevaluating, your habits that you may actually need to like write down and see and track every single day may change. Okay. And that's okay. But you have to control that. So one way that I do that is I turn my phone on do not disturb, and I don't bring it in my office when I'm trying to do things that are not like customer and talking to people related. If I'm trying to finish all my mail outs, or I am sending emails, or I'm doing anything like that, if I hear my phone go off, I'll pick it up, because I just can't help it. It's a habit. I turn it on D&D and I leave it out of my office, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you just like pick up your phone and start scrolling out of habit just because like you took a little couple second break. Chastity will do that. And then 15-20 minutes will be gone. Right. And so I turn it on D&D and I put it out of my office. And fun fact that I learned, my husband used to get so pissed because my phone was on D&D. You can, if you have an iPhone, like I went in my iPhone to his contact name, and he is not like on D&D. So it'll still come through for him. But what my phone, I also created a shortcut, is so as soon as I turn my phone on D&D, it automatically sends him a text message that says my phone is on D&D. So he's not sending me stupid TikToks to look at when I'm trying to work and I'm getting up to go look at it. He knows that that's when I'm working. So don't let those things, like I said, distract you. If that's what I needed to focus on, that's what I have to do. Some people do not, oh, this is also like the little point that I want to make about systems. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You do not rise to the level of your goals. you fall to the level of your systems. And the reason why I say that is because if you have a system in place and you have habits in place, you're going to do it come hell or high water, if that's what you're supposed to do, unless you're taking your day off. And if your systems aren't really systems, meaning you're not really tracking it and holding yourself accountable, or you don't have anything in place and you're just flying by the seat of your pants, and people get sick or you get busy or something tragic happens in your life, almost every single time, the first thing that people put down is their business. No, pick that kid up. Don't let a temporary feeling affect your 5-year dreams, because I can promise you, when you're out of that depression, I can promise you when you are done grieving whoever passed away, I can promise you when your kids are done driving you crazy, you're going to wish that you continue to work your business, even if it was just 3 little things that you could possibly do to even pick your head up off the pillow for days. If you can just make yourself do that. Yes, let it be a reason to get through the day. If you only can do 3 little things that day, then come hell or high water, do it. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is, but if you have a system in place and you're going through something hard, that is what's going to get you through, because eventually you're going to pull yourself out. And it is trust chastity. I've been there, done that. I suffered through postpartum depression and anxiety so bad with my daughter. And I didn't have the systems in place that I needed to make myself do the things that I needed to do. A lot of people still felt like I was rocking and rolling, but inside I wasn't. And I knew that I wasn't being the best that I could be. If I had put those systems in place prior, then I probably could have pushed myself a little bit harder, because only you can do that and only you can hold yourself accountable. But it was so much work for me to rebuild my business to where I felt like it should have been, when if I would have kept just pushing those little consistent habits every day, I wouldn't have had to rebuild the way that I did. Okay. Some people do not agree with me on this, but this is something that I still do. I don't do it all the time, but it is something that I do. I schedule team page posts. I don't schedule them every single week like I used to, but I do schedule them. I will say that some of the ways that I schedule my team page and my leader page posts are a little different. So myself and some other SSDs had gotten together and did some Visly templates that went through the entire year. So I have a birthday post that posts on my team page for the entire year, and I set that up in January. It's done. I have a 500 by the 15th shout yourself out post done for the year. It's done for the year. I have I scheduled drop your favorite from the weekend on Sunday nights. I did that for 6 months. So I'm going to have to go back and reschedule that for the next 6 months. Like posts that you like to do that do mean something. It does mean something to me when people like post what they did over the weekend and I see pictures of their kids and all that. But let's be honest, time gets away and you forget to post it. So creating it through Visly and doing it that way took that off of my hands. And so I'm still making sure that I'm engaging with people. For birthdays and anniversaries and things like that, I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't recognize that as a leader. Like I don't go through and do that, because to me, that's not replicatable. And to me, that was just a lot of work. So what I do, I scheduled it on my VIP page and my team page. They're going to shout themselves out for when their birthday is that month. My customers do, and my team members do. Shout yourself out, girl. Be your own biggest cheerleader, because y'all people know that my birthday is 9/11. If you're around me, I mean, 9/11 ain't that hard to forget. National tragedy. It's fine. Chastity's still partying. Like it's my B-day. I don't know what to tell y'all, but like people love to be shouted out for their birthday. And this goes back to do for one what you can do for everybody. That's why I don't go and shout people out on my team page when I see it's their birthday, because I don't ever want to get in the situation where someone's like, oh, well, you like her more than me. Nah, your girl doesn't shout anybody out for birthdays, because we will miss somebody. I will mess up. I will forget. It will happen. So take that pressure off of yourself. Do for one what you can do for 100. And just a couple other things while I finish up is you are in full control of your success. If you work this like a hobby, you're going to get paid like a hobby. If you work this like a business, you're going to get paid like a business, period. With that being said, You cannot blame your team for your success or your not success. Like, you cannot blame your team for not putting in PRV. You cannot blame your team for not wanting to work their business. You can't. Ask yourself, are you setting the pace? Are you showing them how you're working? Meaning something as simple as ideas to get PRV. Sometimes we really overthink being a leader. It's something as simple as saying, here's the email I sent my team or my customers. Here's the text I just sent for follow-up. Here are my AMI templates for the month. Here is a picture of some six packs. Here's some verbiage for you to reach out to people. Here are some real life pictures, etc. It's as simple as that. But also, if your team isn't working the way that you want them to work, go find a new team, boo. Quit trying to bring people back to life. I'm not CPR certified. I don't know if any of y'all are, but I ain't bringing nobody back to life. I'm calling 911, and I ain't calling 911 because I ain't wasting my time. He can be CPR certified, but he ain't bringing nobody back to life with Cincy, okay? I will call y'all if I need some CPR, but your girl can't do it, especially not with my mouth swollen the way that it is. It's just a whole situation. But you can't bring somebody back to life. You can be there to encourage them. You can be there to inspire them. You can be there when they need it. Because remember, guys, situations and circumstances change within 30 seconds. Somebody could lose their husband tomorrow. Somebody could lose their job tomorrow. Me, I went to bed one night, everything was fine. I woke up, my life was in fucking shambles. Sorry for the F word, but it just was. And that's what changed my life. That's what made me decide that this was my only option. I couldn't depend on anybody else to take care of my son. I had to put my big girl panties on and do it. You never know if that's going to be somebody else's situation. So you never want to count them out or be ugly to them or whatever. Be there for them. But if they're not working, go find somebody else that will. Please stop wasting your time. I have so many people reach out. I can't get my team to work. Quit freaking worrying about what they're not doing and go find somebody who's willing to do it. Work with the willing. If they're not showing up, then they don't want it enough, and you're never going to be able to motivate them enough to make them work their business. You aren't going to be able to. Is it so super freaking frustrating when you see somebody's potential and you know how freaking great they could be? Yes, but you can't believe that enough for them. Yes, you can't want it enough for them. You have to work with the willing. And somebody may wake up tomorrow and be willing. If they're not willing today, go find somebody new who is. Reach down in your downline if you don't have a front line. See if there's somebody that's hungry. You will find somebody. But the difference between the successful people and the people who aren't successful in this business is they make excuses and they let what other people aren't doing affect what they're doing. Who in the hell cares if so-and-so doesn't have their 500 PRV? Go double yours. Stop worrying about what they're not doing. The time that you're even using worrying about why they don't have their 500, you could be finding 10 new customers like I'm going to. You could go talk to more people about Cincy Club. It's just a waste of time. And it's so frustrating. Like, probably the most frustrating thing as a leader is to hear my other leaders come to me and say, I can't get them to work. There's a difference in them not working because they've never been trained or they don't know how, and not working because I'm going to tell you right now, go ahead and pull your workstation reports. If whoever's at 0 right now, that's a choice. That's a choice. If you are at 0 right now, that's a choice. 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 I don't give a damn what anybody says. If they are at 0, that's a choice. There is something for everybody. We have had so many releases and upcoming things. And I mean, 0 is a choice. Is it work to get to 500 every month when you first join? Yeah, it takes consistency. It takes opening your mouth, because anytime your mouth is closed, your business is closed. Anytime you don't show up, your business is closed. You can't just sit there and expect everybody to come to you. Okay. And the last thing that I want to say, yes, 500 is a choice, 2000 is a choice. And let me tell y'all something, y'all. When I first joined, I was a 500 to 700 a month girl. Started challenging myself. I was like, okay, I can do this. So I was like 14, 1500, 1600 good month ish. That was a choice, right? And then time goes on. I was a 2K a month girl in the fall, not in the spring. I made the excuse that I couldn't do that in the spring. You want to know why? Because Chastity was comfortable and I was chilling and I wasn't reaching out to more people. I wasn't still trying to party. I was coasting. The moment you start coasting, your business is going to die. I also say that though, don't work yourself to burnout. You've got to find your limit. You've got to fill your cup. You've got to do all the things. But if you find yourself it being really easy or feeling like you don't have to do that much to get your 1,000 PRV, it's time to turn the hustle up, boo. Chastity had never had more than 3,500 PRV until COVID hit. When COVID hit, I've not had less than 3,500 since COVID hit. And that's because I made that choice. I made that decision to stop saying, okay, well, my minimum is 2,500. I'm just trying to earn annual sales. Because the first time I earned annual sales, I barely made it. The next time I made it with a month or two to spare. This past year, I had met it before December. And that's not to brag. It's because I was very intentional and I was very eyes on the prize. Okay. Yes, you're going to make an excuse for why you can't or make reasons why you can. So the last thing I want to close this up with so that I can value your guys' time. When it comes to focusing as a leader, free recognition. Stop spending money on your team. Free recognition. And just because you're a director doesn't mean you have to go and start spending a ton of money on your team either. Scentsy recognizes a lot. Scentsy always incentivizes the things that they want repeated. Why do you think the incentive point structures are structured the way that they are? Because if you are earning an incentive, your business is going to thank you, other people are going to thank you, and your business is going to grow, and Scentsy is going to reward you for things they want repeated. So when I say free recognition, I mean a voice text. I mean a shout out from on Facebook, on Instagram. I mean shouting yourself out, boo, when you get those emails. Post them on your stories and tag your people. Guys, it's not just for you. Other people want to see that you get recognized. How many of you go to a regular 9-to-5 job and never get told what you're doing right, only what you told you're doing wrong? You have the ability to completely change somebody's life with just saying you're doing a dang good job, because some people don't even know that. They don't know. When people first join, they don't know that getting 500 is a lot. They don't know that getting 2,000 is a lot. They don't know what they don't know until you teach them that that's the right thing. Recognize the behaviors you want repeated. Recognize top contributors to a team page. Recognize when you see a team member going live on Facebook. Screenshot it, post it on your team page, shout them out. Anything that you want repeated, you recognize. I don't care how small it is. And please, for the love of God, do not wait until you're a director. It is not your director's job to shout out the 1,000 people or even 10 people underneath them. It is your job. It is your job. You are the one in between. And if you want to be a director, act like a director from day one. If you want to be a director, act like a director. If you had a leader that didn't do those things for you, be the leader that they weren't. Be the leader that you didn't have. Everything that you wanted in a leader, be that. Be that. You have the ability. Be the leader that you wish you had. And then I know a lot of people ask like about postcards and when they should send people stuff. Guys, you don't have to go and buy postcards. A lot of my people, they literally have a template on their phone and they use WordSwag or Over or whatever, and they just type the numbers in and they send it to them that way. They send them text, they post it on social media. You don't have to spend money. The number one thing that I have always heard Orville say is you spend Scentsy money on family, not family money on Scentsy. Stop spending money that you don't have. The more you grow, the more you'll be able to do that. And something that I heard Laura Godwin say, and this is going to be the last thing I talk about tonight for Leader Focus, is when it comes to recognition, and if you're like a giver and you're wanting to recognize your people, you need to set a number to it. So this is a number that she said, and it actually makes a whole lot of sense. So, you know, when you get paid, you can go in your commission tab and you can look at all the breakdown, right? So when you are a leader, you have a bonus from your team numbers. So she says to take 5 to 7% of only that team bonus. Only that team bonus. So let's say you got paid $100 on your team, 5 to 7% of that $100, not 5 to 7% of your entire paycheck. You know, for us, we're setting money aside for taxes. I invest 10% back into my business. But if you want to gauge a number that a superstar director, a shining star has lived by, that would be your number to look at. And obviously that number is going to continue to grow. That is why you see people giving larger things or doing like a gift card or whatever. If you want to do a giveaway every once in a while, that's your prerogative, but you need to make sure that it's in your budget. Don't do a giveaway just because somebody else in Cincy was doing a giveaway. You don't have to do that. But 5 to 7% of your actual leader bonus, that is going to fluctuate a lot. Especially, I mean, and that's something that you have to look at all the time. So let's say 5 to 7% of your bonus was only $4. That's okay. You know what you can do? You can send somebody some highlighters from Amazon for $2 on Amazon Prime. Then your Prime membership is a business write-off. You didn't have to go to the dang post office because you can use your gift note and you just print the receipt off and there's your business write-off. Guys, you can type in gifts under $5 on Amazon. If you are an Amazon Prime member already, you need to use it some for your business. Use that subscription as a business write-off and send it straight from there. You don't have to send crazy things, or you don't have to send anything. You just need to let people know that they're appreciated and that they're seen. Something that I've started doing now, I just recently started doing this, is instead of sending like stupid little scrunchies, not stupid. I mean, I know some people like that. I like that stuff too, but you know what I mean? Like instead of sending like bulk stuff that I got from Amazon, I've started using product credit. And when I get product credit, I'm buying like sticker sheets. For instance, like what I just bought for next month is I have just a bunch of sticker sheets. So I just have like the pet sticker sheets. And so my top 5 team and my top 5 group got sticker sheets this past month. And it cost me next to nothing to mail it. And I got product credit from helping people earn Shooting Star and stuff like that. No, you don't earn PRV, but this is something that they can actually use and something that they'll actually like. Okay. So that's an idea. You don't have to send all 72 to them. Break it up. You don't have to send all of the stickers to them. You can do whatever you want. And I got the idea because when I send new consultant welcome packets, a lot of times what I do is I give them some of the scent of the month stickers for them to use because they're rub and smell. Buy extra scent of the month. They're $3. You're getting 3 or 4 sheets. They cost next to nothing to ship. And it's easy, something that you know they can actually put back into their business. I've also I did some like brochures, like like these were $3 as well. And I'm just going to send those to people. These are like the laundry brochures. These are obviously, I can't even pick them up, going to cost a little bit more, but to ship. But this is something they can actually use rather than me buying some daggum chapstick holders. Like, I'm over it. I wanted to send them something that they could use. And then one other thing that I'm doing. Oh, I did these. So I also bought some rolls of thank you stickers, and sending the roll obviously would be like a lot, but I cut them. Like I did things of 10 and I gave them 100 stickers. And that costs next to nothing to send to them. And these literally just say, thank you for supporting my small business. Yeah, it took me a little bit of extra time to cut them, but I gave them 100 stickers for them to use. Like that's something I would actually get in the mail and use. And this was like a 4-pack roll and they each had 500. And I think I paid $8. And so I did that this month. And now in a couple months later, I can do it again. So it's not like the same people are getting the same things. And then I know I told y'all not to spend money and now I'm showing y'all some of the things, but it's because I've just got tired of sending like crazy stuff. One last thing, let me find it. Now it's going to drive me crazy until I find it. 1 second, I promise. I lied. Okay, so nail files. I've done those for Scentsy Club subscribers too. Those are pretty cheap. And it's really going to make me mad if I can't. Oh, I know where they are. Things. Yes. Okay. So I also bought these. These came in like a little pack from Amazon and it says, thank you for supporting my small business. And these are like business card size things. So especially like for newer consultants and stuff, I'm going to put some of these in my new consultant welcome pack. So then they can literally write their customer's name on the back of it. But I'm also going to give it to people for team gifts. And like I said, I'm not going to give them all of these. I'm just going to break them up and give them some. And it makes it cheap. They can write their little personal note on it. And it's something that they can actually use. So does anybody have any questions? Oh, girl, y'all, this office has been, my husband's probably going to divorce me if I make him wrap up my cords one more time because I'm not good at wrapping my cords to where you can't see them. And he's done it probably like, I'm not exaggerating, like 15 times in the last 2 weeks because I keep moving warmers. And like we got my air purifier and we got new warmers and I had to unplug stuff. And when I unwrap it, it's just like a cluster if you know. And so I've been banned from moving anything or asking him to do it. And then he didn't do it right on one of them. And then he got mad because I said I wasn't doing it right. Sorry, I'm just on a whole nother tangent. But does anybody have any other questions for me? I am an open book. You can ask me anything. And that pegboard, y'all, let me just tell you that when I got back from, where was it? I don't know where I was. He was picking me up from the airport and supposedly it was on the wall when he left to come get me. And when we got home from the airport, my entire pegboard was on the ground. And I just cried. I just cried. And we had to do a whole new pegboard, but it was because he said, well, I didn't know you were going to put 500 pounds on it and it just fall out of the wall. And I'm like, yeah, the whole thing was on. He didn't mount it to the wall as well. He did mount it to the wall, but he didn't do it suffice for all the stuff I had. And it was on the ground and it was a whole situation. I'm like, well, this has to be fixed now. He's like, now. And I'm like, I couldn't even walk in my office. Y'all see, the pegboard was pretty much just as big as this. Like there was no walking in here. Like I have a picture. I'll like show it to y'all one day. All right, y'all. Do you have anything else? I don't want to keep y'all. Whitney, do you have any questions or anything you want me to talk about?
No, that was amazing. I took 4 pages of notes, so I know it helped everybody else. There was one question earlier,
Okay.
And you kind of hit on it, but she just said, how do you bounce back after a bad month? You mentioned that like it's okay to fall off, but it's not okay to stay there. So maybe, is there anything else you want to add to that?
So the number one thing that I would say about that is being upfront, honest, and open. Leaders need to know that you're a real person and that your life can be a shit show just like theirs is. And I mean, the number one thing that you need to realize as a leader is trust. Your team needs to trust you. So if you go MIA, number one, I definitely feel like even if you're having a hard time or whatever, muster up the energy to send an email, send a text, ask your leader to post on your page, do whatever. That's what we're all here for. We have a great community and we will always pick up other people when they need it because everybody goes through things. And not everybody wants to tell their team exactly what they're going through. You don't have to go and tell them that. You don't have to be that open. Like if you say you had a miscarriage and you don't want to tell everybody you had a miscarriage, you don't have to say that. But I do feel that it's important for you to say, hey, I'm going to be MIA. This is the person you can reach out to. I'm still here, blah, blah, blah. And then when you come back, be open and honest. tell people, no, I may have not have been really active on the team page, but I was still working my personal business. I just needed to take a minute. Everybody needs a minute, because I'm gonna tell you right now that if my kids didn't go back to school, I was probably gonna go check myself into a mental hospital and just let everybody else figure it out, because that's where I was at with everything that kept happening. And so just be honest. And I think that some people you're gonna have people that are ugly and need Jesus no matter what. They're not your people. If you go to somebody and you say that I was in a bad place, I just needed a minute, I'm back, I'm doing my best, and somebody's ugly to you, peace out, Girl Scout. Bye. I ain't got time for negativity. You can protect your peace at all costs. Protect your peace at all costs. Doesn't matter about anything. As long as you're being a good person and you have a good heart, protect your peace. Obviously, I'm not saying go and be ugly to people, but also let people know where the bodies are going to be buried if they come for you. Because, I mean, ain't nobody going to come at me. I will cut you. I will cut you. But there's a difference. I see y'all laughing at me, but that's just who I am. I can't help it. I'm Alabama redneck. It's just who I am as a person. But I hope that kind of answers your question. If you're going through something, just be honest. Just be as honest as you are willing to be. Because we all know that there are ugly people in the world sometimes, but people need to know that you struggle too. People see us as SSDs like we're some famous, untouchable, like Damon Salvatore. I'm watching the Vampire Diaries right now, so it's like all about him. But like, oh yeah, I was even talking about Ted Bundy and getting a VW Beetle today because my daughter saw a hot pink one on the road and now she wants one. And I'm like, well, I am obsessed with Ted Bundy, so we might be able to make that happen. But yeah, I mean, I just want you guys to be honest. And that's where I think all of that's going to come from. Because when your team knows that they can trust you and that you're a real person and that you mess up, and I could go on about this again, but if you mess up somebody's order, tell your team that. Tell your team that you messed up somebody's order. Tell your team that your husband dropped something off at the wrong house and then you had to go fix it. Tell your team that you accidentally, like my brother just ordered some oils and he wanted 2 of one and I only put 1 in the cart and I didn't realize it till it got here. Tell your people that. They need to know that everybody still makes mistakes, because I can promise you that people feel like we don't, if they're not as open as I am. I mean, I pretty much tell people everything that goes on and all the craziness, but not everybody's like that. So your team needs to know that. Be vulnerable, or as vulnerable as you can be. So I hope that answered your question, Whitney, or whoever's question that was. I'm sorry.
Yes, for sure. And I hope you're reading the comments, because like I said, everybody's excited that you came on and talked to us.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much. I love, well, we all love hearing from you, but just hearing all of this from a different perspective and hearing what, I've heard other people say, but then it just hits you in a certain way, like you said. So we really appreciate you taking time to come and chat with us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.